So I guess I'll walk through the sort of the whole funnel on, and this works for, so well, I'll walk through the whole funnel for my main product, but this works across the line for trend feed as well. So I'll dive into that. Actually, I'll do trend feed first. Trend feed, because that'll be a bit more. I think it's this one. Right, cool. I'll start that again. So basically, I want to walk through the funnel on sort of how I do trend feed, how we do the webinar, how we do the lives, and how that then converts into customers. So it all starts with the content. So at the moment, right, a lot of this content that we're posting is specifically designed. You have to identify who your target audience is. And with trend feed, we create essentially viral news content to post on TikTok and Instagram, right? The reason people would use an app like that is because either vanity metrics, they want to get views, or more likely from getting views and creating content, they can get paid through some monetization platform like CPB or YouTube monetization from YouTube Shorts. Now, the one thing that's going to enable them to get that result and make that money from that is obviously from getting views. So we need to show two things in the content. One, that you can get views, and two, that you can generate revenue. Now, obviously, if the opportunity to use trend feed is make money, then if we show that in the content, you're going to get a much higher quality audience. So that's kind of why, like, you'll see content like this, where it's just like, my boyfriend told me he was broke. What is this, right? £250,000 in a bank account. And then we'll do some other stuff where it's like, okay, let's be a little bit clickbaity. So for example, this one, right, is me so Matthew's filming through the office window. I'm scrolling through my phone, just looking at Andrew Tate clips. And then obviously you've got like 999 million, which is obviously inspect element. And then in the corner, you've got a payment to OnlyFans, right? So you leave things in the corner, little Easter eggs. People are going to be like, well, this is obviously fake, or it's going to wind people up in the comments. This did a lot better on TikTok. So there's all sorts of different ways that you can create content. But at the end of the day, the goal is, can we show people a mixture of the opportunity, which is the money, and then B, some content, which is, here's the app, here's what we're doing, and here's how that app then makes money. So basically treating, if you can imagine a typical marketing funnel, at the top of the funnel, usually most people's strategies go as broad as you possibly can, and then use a website to convert those people. This strategy says, well, okay, let's actually move one step down the funnel and create that as the top of funnel. So basically what that means is, instead of creating content which is incredibly broad, like meme-worthy content, is try and do meme-y kind of content that's going to get views at the same time as targeting your audience, but changing like their belief. So for example, with this app, a lot of people think, okay, well, I can't go viral because I've tried going viral before. Or for example, you can't get paid through the CPB program or YouTube monetization because you need loads of views, and it's just not worked for me before. So those are two beliefs that people are going to stop people from buying your product. So if you can create content which changes their beliefs in that area, then it's going to be so much easier to sell them on your product when they come through, through the webinar, through the website. And then from there, all we do is we push them to a landing page.
So how do I end up here on this actual landing page? Do I click on a link in your bio, or do I get a DM from you, or how does that first step in the funnel looks like?
So there's a few ways of doing it. One, on TikTok, I will leave a thing that says, go to the link in my bio. Like for example here, learn how to finish any app in 14 days using a simple secret AI tool, link in bio. That pushes some people, but a lot of people don't like doing that, right? On Instagram, I use ManyChat, so comment app to learn how to finish your app with AI. And I mean, you'll see like 41 comments, 300, this is one I posted yesterday, 400 comments. I don't know why Instagram doesn't show them, but from all of this, I think if view replies, maybe it'll show the rest of them. But then all I'll do is they send the message to your DMs, right? So you've got all of these people who are interested in whatever that call to action is, which is learning how to build using this tool. In this video, I preview CodeSpring, which is my other tool. And then they go to, from this is a direct integration into the webinar software. So they will actually, in their DMs, I can't show people's emails, but in my messages, they'll just comment there. They'll send me a message of their email, and I've got an automation which takes that email, registers them for the webinar, and sends them a confirmation email. Or they can go to the website and register through the website. Assuming they've gone, either click the link in the bio from TikTok or from Instagram, they'll land on the website. And then the website is essentially, okay, well, we're not trying to sell the final product. We are trying to sell the webinar, because if I can get people to show up to the webinar, I can sell them on the webinar. I don't care about the product yet. This is one thing. So we got a lot of hate for this. And one of the biggest reasons for this is, I'll do this on an incognito then, trend feed, is we have a software, trend feed, and people come to the website and it's not a traditional SaaS website. They can't sign up, they can't use it, they can't play around with it. And in fact, if you try and sign up, it's password protected. The reason being, they have to come to the webinar to see what it does because that's when we sell them. But you have to think of a reason to get someone to show up to the webinar, right? Just by saying we're going to demo this product isn't going to be enough. You have to give them a reason. And one of the best things is we'll teach you something that is related to the product. So for example, like this free class reveals how to make $1,000 every 7 days on TikTok, right? The whole opportunity of trend feed is viral views and monetization on TikTok or Instagram or YouTube, right? So then you're aligning that perfectly. And then on the live class, you show them like, okay, these are the things that we're trying to solve, and this is the product and how it solves the problem. And then buy the product, it will solve your problem. Same thing with this one, right? Discover the secret marketing tool I used to make $150,000 last year with my AI SaaS. This is, I'm sort of split testing these funnels at the moment. So this used to be how to build apps with AI. Now it's, okay, well, let's focus more on the opportunity and see if that increases conversion rate. So I split test headlines, I split test offers, I split test webinars. So if I actually go onto my Google Slides, right, all of these are webinars that I'm creating. So they're like, I've probably created like 20, 30, 40 different webinars, and I'm always testing different sales techniques, different systems to convert people, different opportunities, the whole thing basically. There's a little story on here as well to try and convert.
So you're not really working with one slide deck that performs really well. You always try to optimize and change those.
Yeah, I mean, it depends. So with trend feed, for example, so just to give you an idea on the numbers, right? If somebody comes to TrendFeed and they signed up to an app for free and they start playing around with it and you give them the opportunity to upgrade or you start a free trial. So on ChatIQ, I was getting about 0.2% of people actually converted into paying customers from visits to the website, obviously as a subscription. Through this, we will get about 5% of our website visitors pay a yearly plan of £250. So it's a huge increase from just letting people sign up to the website. In terms of from people on the webinar, you will convert 15 to 20% of people who are actually live on the webinar. Let's say you've got 100 people, 15 of those people will pay £249 for the live plan, the yearly plan, annual plan for TrendFeed, for example. And that just gives us a lot more opportunity. In the case of TrendFeed, we have a slide that basically works. It converts at 15% with CodeSpring because this is partly why we're testing this new angle. I am testing this new angle is because it's a higher opportunity. So it theoretically will convert more because there's an ROI on using the product. That's basically, and I can show you sort of briefly if you want. This is, so roughly, I mean, a webinar will be like 230 slides. So there's a lot going on in the webinar. And all you do is, and this is the book I mentioned earlier, Russell Brunson's Expert Secrets, that basically breaks down like how you convert customers and how you basically take them through a story. And there's like belief systems and reasons people won't buy something. The webinar is designed to warm that audience up and convert them and say, look, okay, well, this product's actually going to solve your problem. Here's why you shouldn't use other people's products. Here's why you should use ours. And there's a lot of nitty gritty detail that goes into it. But as like a very basic point, if you're somebody watching and you want to use webinars to convert people, instead of pushing people to a website like this, push them to a website like this that basically gets them to come to a webinar. They reserve the spot. And then you don't actually have to build out like 200 slides. You could just build 20, 30 slides highlighting the problem that somebody has, agitate that problem, like really make sure they believe that that's a problem they've got, and then just show your app and show how your app solves the problem. And then at the end, just give them a payment link and say, buy a yearly plan. And that's probably enough to get your first few sales.
So the real trick is to not sell the product, but the promise of the product and to help people get better results.
Yeah, like one of the, so one thing I don't like is, so selling courses, for example, right? You're selling information, but people buy because they're buying that information because they want to implement something. They want to, let's say, for example, I sell a course on how to build an app. They want to actually build the app. So if I can sell an implementation product, i.e. a SaaS that helps them implement that thing, they're going to be much more inclined to pay for it because it solves a problem. They don't have, the less work they have to do, the more valuable the product is. And then basically all you're doing in your marketing on the front end, in your content, two sides of it. One is just mute that Go away. And then how do I put this on? But yeah, so in your content, you change people's beliefs and you also sell them on coming to the webinar. And then on the website, you make them want to show up to the webinar. In your emails, you make them want to show up to the webinar. You don't mention your product at all. Maybe you hint at it, right? Like, for example, this video here is like my secret tool that does stuff where I preview the coding, the mind map. And I got like hundreds of people asking me like, what exactly is this tool? I'm like, come to the live class, because guess what? On the live class, I'm going to sell you on using that tool. So they've kind of been pre-sold anyway. And then the webinar does all the selling for the product.
All right. So last two questions. Do you do all the webinar sessions live, or do you also pre-record? And also, what software are you using for those webinars?
So all of mine are live. I'll go live. They'll be about an hour and a half. I usually do 1 or 2 a week. Or I use a software called Webinar Jam. So for example, you can see here, I mean, this wasn't the best webinar. I mean, this webinar made £3,000, but you had 400 people registered. I had 68 people show up. And from 68 people, I converted £2,000 or something I made from that one webinar. So you don't need to have massive numbers if you can obviously increase this sharp rate, right? If you can, and on average, I'll do 25% sharp rate. You'll obviously make more money, but I use Webinar Jam to do all of that, to sort of host the webinars.